Yo guys, it's slyroh. You already know that today I'm going to be bringing you my initial impressions for Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. This game originally came out in 2004 for the GameCube, but of course I am playing the Switch remake, which was just released on May 23rd of this year. And I'm excited to bring you this video because this is essentially my first dip into the Paper Mario series and my first experience with this game. I've never played the original. The only Paper Mario that I did play was, I think it was Color Splash, but I'm not sure, and I only played like less than 30 minutes of it anyway. So essentially this is my first time playing Paper Mario, and I definitely am excited to talk to you about some of my initial impressions. For those of you that are new here, this is a style of video that I do to sort of let you know what I'm playing in the background, and I make a video talking about my initial impressions after the first couple hours of gameplay, in hopes that down the line I will then review those impressions when I'm done with the game and give you my final impressions on what I thought of the game. So this is just supposed to bring up some of the initial reactions, things that I think about the game systems, what I think might change, the good things, the bad things, and sort of what I expect from the game moving forward. And then, yeah, I will take that and compare that to my final impressions, assuming that I don't continuously push it off, looking at you, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But yeah, let's go ahead and just jump right into some of my thoughts on this game. I am about 3.5 hours through the game, so I feel like I have a pretty good sense as to what the game is about. Obviously, you play as Paper Mario, and you get a letter from Princess Peach inviting us to some sort of city. And then when we get there, we can't find her, and we also find this treasure map, which is going to help locate something called the Crystal Stars. So we're sort of on a journey to go and find these Crystal Stars, as well as go and find Peach. And it's, you know, pretty simple setup, but it doesn't need to be complicated. In fact, that's one of my favorite things about this game, is that it is pretty straight to the point in terms of what you need to do. The story doesn't take a long time to set up. And in general, I just feel like the game doesn't really waste my time with long, lengthy dialogue, you know, conversations and whatnot. You kind of get control, you get the simple setup, and then you're just off to the races, and I think that is fantastic. The gameplay here is fairly simple. It is turn-based combat, but instead of just clicking and attacking, clicking an opponent, there's like an extra action that you have to do to make the attack go off, and it can affect how much damage you do and how effective the attack is, and whether you connect with it at all. So it is a simple but engaging combat system that I think is really good for this kind of game. The game has a little bit of depth to its combat and systems, with things like badges that you can equip to affect different stats and attacks that you can do. There are certain attacks that can hit enemies on the ground, certain ones that can hit them in the air, certain ones that can attack all of the enemies on the other side. There's different items that you can pick up, and the items have different attacks and effects that they can do. And there's a lot of depth to the gameplay without being like too overcomplicated or anything like that. It's pretty simplified, and I would say that this would be a pretty good introduction for somebody just like playing a turn-based RPG for the first time. This is like a really good entryway because it's not very hard, but it is pretty fun. The game seems to be split into these almost like dungeon-like areas. Well, usually there's like a town that then goes to like a dungeon, and in that dungeon there's usually puzzles of sorts that you need to figure out to get through to the next room, or combat that's in the way. And it's just a mixture of simple puzzles and combat until you get whatever the reward is, and then use that reward to go into the next area, rinse and repeat. But as you're exploring around, there's also secret like shine sprites and stuff like that that you can find that usually you have to go out of your way for, and are not always the most straightforward. So if you are a completionist and looking to do every little thing, it's definitely going to be harder than what you think. But let's go ahead and just zero in on some of my likes and dislikes of this game, so I can sort of talk about them one at a time. So that way I have something to compare it to when I do eventually do a final impressions of this video. So we'll start with the things that I dislike about this game, which is nothing. There's literally nothing about this game that I dislike. There's no active problems that I'm having. It's not too hard, it's not too confusing, it's not too easy, it's not too boring. There's really nothing I can criticize this game about right now in the first couple hours, which is exciting moving forward. I am a little bit surprised as to how the partner system works, because you play as Mario and one extra person right now. I started with Goombella, and now I've been going through this castle with Koops, and you can only have one of them at a time. I don't know if that's ever going to expand in the future or not. I really thought that when I got another character that I was just going to have like 3 characters, but it might only be 2. Which is interesting in terms of the gameplay because it sort of limits your options, but sort of trying to figure out strategy within a limited framework is usually some of my favorite styles of video games. But I'm interested to see how that's going to be handled moving forward. I don't know if each new location you're just going to get a new partner to travel with you, or if there comes a time where I'm really going to have to make some decisions about which partner to bring along. I really don't know, and I'm interested to see, but I feel like the game is going to be fine either way it decides to do that. And so far, I gotta say that I really like all the characters that I've met. This game has a lot of charm to it, and that includes the personalities of the residents within it. And I don't know exactly what I expected, but the characters are a lot more sort of like lively and quirky than I was expecting. I think my perception of like Mario character personalities has been somewhat affected by a recent playthrough that I did of Princess Peach Showtime, where every character you meet is very just sort of happy-go-lucky, sunshine and roses. Oh no, there's this one bad guy, let's stop, team up and stop him. And they're like, it's very surface level, like there's really no depth to like any characters, which is perfectly fine for a game like that. But for Paper Mario, like an RPG, you want your characters to have more personality, and they really do. Like the fact that Koops his story is, hey, he wants to join you because his dad went to go fight, this monster and didn't come back. And they very directly state that, he at least thinks that his dad's dead. At this point in time, I think his dad's dead. But they like use that verbiage like in the game, which is not something that I like would have perceived going in. And so like, no, I don't expect this game to like have like a super dark tone or like a super depressing story or anything like that, but it does feel like the characters are sort of more fully fleshed out in the world, and that the world itself is like more fleshed out than I would have expected a Mario game to be. And I think the last thing that I want to talk about is just sort of the gameplay overall, and like the combat, because it's hard to pick one single thing out that I can praise as like a single like good point, because all of it just kind of flows pretty well into itself. I'm interested to see how it changes as I keep going. I mean, the enemies are getting stronger, the enemies are getting more complicated in terms of just like how you need to hit them, what types of damage you can do to them, are they holding items, and I'm just interested to see if having 2 player characters is going to be enough to deal with all that, if I'm going to get another one, or if I'm going to get some like super cool abilities that are going to be really awesome to use. I've found that it's pretty easy to not have to be so stingy with like item usage and stuff like that. I get so many coins, I get so many item drops. It's very easy to keep replenishing your FP as well as your HP and all that sort of stuff. So it's like really easy to continue to use my strong moves, continue to use items and just replenish them. So that has helped make each encounter be like, I don't have to do the same thing every single time. I can switch it up a little bit. Or I might use one fight to use Mario's special move to like heal myself. That way I can be prepared for the next one, because like so far I haven't even like slept in the inn or anything like that. I was like, I can just replenish my own HP and everything like that. And then also when you level up, everything sort of refills, and the level up system is really interesting as well. I'm always thinking about which one should I do first between the HP, the FP, and the BP, the badge points or whatever. And yeah, so I feel like eventually Mario's just going to be so cracked out with just like so many things to him that it's going to be insane and awesome. But yeah, I don't really have a lot to say. The game just clearly has a lot of effort that was put into it, just with the way that it looks, the transitions from screen to screen, the backgrounds, the music, the way the characters interact with each other. Everything has so much thought put into it. The combat system, everything just flows together so nicely, and I'm having a really just refreshingly good time. I can't remember the last time that I played just a normal turn-based RPG like this and just really had a fun, like, relaxing time without it being, like, boring. And I'm excited to continue to play this game. So yeah, let me know down in the comments if you have played this game before, whether it be the original or the remake. What are your thoughts on the game, all that jazz. And yeah, I'm gonna go continue to play this game, and it might be a little bit until I come back with the final impressions. I have a trip coming up that I'm going to be away for a week. I'm also moving, so I have quite a few things going on in the background, but I'm going to be playing this whenever I get the time. I'm balancing this while still playing some other games at the same time, so, you know, just trying not to burn myself out, but this is a good game that I keep finding time to play it already, so I don't think it's going to be too much of a struggle. But I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. If there's anything you think I missed or any other questions you have about what I feel, feel free to comment. Make sure to subscribe so that way you can be notified of all my other content, as well as when my final impressions comes out. But that's all I have for you today, so I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, and I will see you all around in the future. So till then, peace out.